Okay, we're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 3 of Sportscast ZA, where we tell South African stories. Tonight, I have a very special guest. I would say our first lady of the podcast, because she's literally the first lady we're interviewing. So we're very grateful for you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing your story.
Thank you for having
Welcome,
me. I'm glad to be here.
Nosipho Njokweni.
Yes.
Sorry for those of us who's been watching the first and second episode. I don't have my co-host with me tonight. He's traveling, so he couldn't be with us. So please bear with us in that regard. Um, Nosi, I want to get straight into things, and
Yes.
without wasting time, I want you to take us back to your early life, back in Eastern Cape. What was that like, and where did you first discover basketball?
Sure. Well, I'm gonna pick up glimpse of my life because I'm not young, hey?
Yeah.
So so originally I come from Kasi called New Brighton in Port Elizabeth, and I grew up without literally without a mom and a dad. So the person who was there for me was my grandmother and my brother. So me discovering basketball, it was actually through my brother, who never played a single sport in his life. So
Wow.
because of my height and the fact that I was skinny and I always wanted to jump on top of trees and everything, so he discovered basketball. So one day he brought a basketball ball, and then he's like, here's a ball, do something about it. And I was like, what is this? Because I've gotten used to at that time kicking a ball with the boys or holding a ball, pushing the boys around. So that's man. Shortly, that's how I discovered basketball. And plus, he used to watch basketball, so he was a Michael Jordan fan. So that's
Okay.
how we. So that's how I got introduced into the sport.
Okay, that's lovely. That's interesting because I was actually thinking, like, basketball, especially the area you're from, you know, soccer is easy. We know everyone kicks a soccer ball around. Everyone might have played rugby or cricket, right? So I'm actually grateful that you shared that story and that, your brother influenced you because I
Yeah.
was really trying to think, back in the day, where could you have found the love for basketball? Because I personally, I never even, I only played cricket growing up, really. I knew of other sports, but I
Yeah.
was like, basketball is unheard of, you know? And
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that with us. Um,
Yeah.
the next question I have for you is, where would you say was the moment you knew you could make a life from basketball?
Pure. Going back to my Kasi roots, Reese, I grew up in a Kasi where there's a lot of crime. There was a lot of drugs involved and a lot of alcohol. And as I mentioned earlier on, I didn't have like a typical family environment where there's a mom and a dad. So my
Yes.
grandmother was everything to me. And so when I looked around where we were staying, I didn't want to be a typical female uh, person. At that time, I didn't even know that I was even going to be as successful in sports. I'm still not. I'm still trying, but I knew that I don't want to be a typical female that is going to be living a gassy life, getting pregnant, and having drugs and drinking and all of that. I knew that from the get go. And the beautiful thing about the gassy way I grew up in my time is that we had a lot of elders that yes, they were doing crime, whatever they were doing, but they would look out for the younger generation. So when they saw that I was one of the typical sports kids, everybody protected me in some sort of way. So in that way, I knew that I don't want to be another typical Nosipho into Ekasi, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And also with me playing different sporting codes, there's no sports that I didn't play. Like for example, at my school, at Tembelihle High School, where I went to school, there was no basketball. There was netball, cricket, rugby, every single ball I could get my hands into. I made sure that I I I I I excel into the sports because that is what I was striving for. And for me, staying at school until 6 o'clock, it was better than staying home and seeing the nonsense that was happening
Yes.
around us. So I decided this is the path that I wanted to take, and to a point where at the age of 16, I started a basketball team at Itembelihle High School. And through that, a couple of my friends helped me out for us to start the sport. And at that time, I was playing with boys. And
Yeah.
so where we grow up, there was never you a woman, you a male. It was like you want to play any type of sports, you would play with either males or females. It was going to be the same thing. We
Yes.
all respected one another and we all pushed one another. So yeah, so I got lucky like that. I guess I could put it that way. So I knew from the early age that that's a path that I wanted to take. And plus, I also wanted to be different because my family and my extended family, there's a lot of educated people. There's doctors, there's nurses, anything that you can put your hands on, they there. But I felt like I was different, and it was a matter of for me to find the difference of where do I belong type thing. Yeah.
Yes. No, see, other than your brother, who were your influences in basketball? Obviously, you say you started, the team you played in when you were 16. Who would you, other than your friends, do you distinctly remember a few people along the way that might have influenced you as well to keep pursuing and to keep, striving to be not the typical Kasi girl and people that helped you out of the Kasi, so to speak?
No, definitely. There's a lot of people that helped me out. There's a gentleman who was a friend of mine till today, Luanda Magwata, who helped me a lot when it comes to basketball. And funny enough, we're not far away from like each other when it comes to age. But the one thing that he brought in my life is that brotherly love and the fact that he saw that I'm striving to learn basketball. And at the
Yeah.
same time, he was in a position where he was learning to be a coach. Until today, for me, he's still a best coach. One of the best coaches I've ever had. So he's definitely one of the people that I really, really looked up to. And but rather than that, the person who really influenced me was my grandmother. I'll tell you why. It's because she was a principal who didn't know anything about sports. The only thing that she cared about is for me to get an education. And she saw that, no man, the path that I'm trying to draw this kid to go to, it's not going to happen. Let me just accept her for who she is and just push her to be the best she can be, from whatever she wants to come up she wants to do. So those basically are the most people that for me growing up were the most influential people in my life, until later on. In my college years, I met a gentleman called Mandla Ngema, who is till today a coach at UJ University. So he's one of the people when everything for me opened up. He was that father that I never had.
Yes. No, look, that's very interesting. I think from my side, I want to also know, like, at the moment, right? I know you have your own academy. Um,
Yes,
you work. You have a full time job. Uh, you're involved with the provincial and national teams, like in some way or another, whether you're helping
yes.
someone get there or not. How would you say you balance? And obviously, I'm very grateful that when I spoke to you and said, "Could you please do an interview with me?" You mentioned your family. I know
Yes.
family is very big for you. How do you balance that?
Well, I'm lucky, hey. I think for me the luck comes from maneuvering and hustling all my life. Because
Yes.
growing up, I was able to do a lot of things at once. So that is
Yes.
in my nature. That is it's always something that I've always been doing. So it came, it's not natural because at times it wears off on you, but I can put it like that. It came natural. So as you said, I've got an academy called Amante Stars. So the academy basically, it started 12 years ago. But when it started 12 years ago, it was not how it is now. I started small. I was still in varsity when I started the academy. The academy was called before Best Enough. So when I started the academy, I saw a lot of kids who looked like me, and I saw a lot of
Yes.
kids who needed help, and a lot of females in particular that they didn't have direction. So that is when I started to do clinics at UJ when I was still at varsity there. I started to do clinics at UJ. I would find sponsors to get the kids to come to the clinics and to get people like Mandla Ngema and all the other coaches that are willing to come and help me out in coaching the girls, to help me out. So it started like that, but unfortunately, because of life and everything that has happened, and because I was playing as well myself at that time, so I couldn't sustain Best Enough. So for the longest time, I had to stop it because I had to choose between my playing career, and I had to choose the academy. And at that time, when you start an academy, it chows your pocket. So because I was doing everything out of my pocket and I was doing everything on my own. So
Yes.
unfortunately, I had to stop Best Enough and concentrate in my career. So that's when Amante Stars came about. Amante Stars now, I'm calling it Amante Stars now, come about 5 years ago when I decided, you know what, I've been sitting and not doing anything. So I need to start going back to the love of giving back to the girls because that's one of my passions. Um, and making sure that I still mentor the girls, I'm still there and I'm still coaching and I'm still known. And it helped the fact that I'm a mom now. I'm not as young as I am as I was before when I was playing, so that helped a lot. So that's when Amante Stars was born. And luckily, in between, through all the everything that I was doing, I coached the under 16 Gauteng national team, the team that was won the championship in KZN this year. Oh, I had a time of my life.
Yes.
And then again, I keep going back to the what I love doing the most. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter how many things that you do, whether I'm in a national team coach or I'm a Gauteng coach, or I'm coaching in my club or I'm at home with my kids. What's important is that I love what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I would not change what I'm doing for anything. So that's number one for me. And then number two is for me being authentic and being myself around what I'm doing, because sometimes you see people that are in coaching. I'm going to make an example with coaching. They're just doing it because it's a job. It's not something
Yes.
they love doing.
Yeah.
So that's a difference with me. I love what I'm doing, and especially working with kids. Um, you see, if you work with somebody and you know that even if you help one person out of thousand, you are enough. So yeah,
Absolutely.
so basically me juggling a lot of things, and right now being coaching as well full time. I'm happy, and I'm happy and I'm grateful for the fact that I'm doing the one thing that I love the most.
No, that's incredible, and I'm glad that you're able to balance it, and it's not even like you say, it's not even a thing of this is a balance. I have this on one side, that on the other side. It's just
Yes,
natural.
exactly.
Thing you love.
Yeah, exactly. Because remember, when you're doing a lot of things, it's not basically about balancing, because some things may not balance as the other ones. You just need to adjust with what is in front of you, and then you move on. That's
Yes.
all it is. And again, goes back to the fact that you love doing what I'm doing. I love doing what I'm doing.
No, that's incredible. I just want to read a few of the comments that came through. Um, Thessaline David says, "Let's go, Coach Nosipho, with 3 hearts and 3 flags."
Yeah, actually, she's one of starting coaching for me. She's one of the female coaches in SA that I always looked up to
Yes,
when in terms of coaching, and going back again, that authenticity when you coach. Because the one thing that I always strive is that whether I'm off the court and on the court, I want to be the same person. I don't want to be different, right? And
absolutely.
because remember, at the end of the day, you influencing someone's life. It might be something that you might be influencing somebody that one day will play in the WNBA. You might be influencing somebody one day who's going to play in a Euro League. You don't know. But if you, as a coach, you're different, and today you are white, tomorrow you are green, people get confused. So for me, Teslin is one of the coaches, right? I hope one day we'll work together, but
Oh
we'll see
wow.
what happens.
So
Yeah.
no pressure for me interviewing you here.
No, no pressure at all.
um, Thanks for sharing that. Sarah M says, "Spakes, wash hands, wash hands, wash hands." Do you want to tell us what that's about?
So, by the way, Spakes is my sports nickname. Don't ask me where it comes from. I just picked it up from childhood. When I don't even know what it means, but
Yes.
everybody always called me Spakes. And yeah, I love the hearts and the claps once. Thank you so much, Cecily. I really appreciate that.
Also, she says, "wash hands." So that's very specific because she could have written anything else, but she chose to write "wash hands."
No, for now, that's a secret between me and her. I know
Okay, okay,
what it
okay.
means. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome, awesome. No, that's fine. Then Sarah again says, Coach Mandla, one of the best coaches in South Africa.
Indeed. And there's a lot of females in this country that can attest to that, and a lot of males even. And that is why I mentioned that previously. For me, he was not just a coach. He became my father, and a typical father. You see, when you have a father in your house, and you would
Yes,
know exactly how your father would talk to you, and then how your father would discipline you, and your father will show you a way. One of
yes.
the greatest things that I will always till today appreciate about him is that when he coached us basketball, and I think most of the basketball players that came from his hands, they will attest to what I'm saying. He would always say, "I am not coaching females, and
I'm
I am
coaching
not coaching
basketball players.
ladies. I am
Yes,
coaching athletes." He would
yes,
always say, "I am coaching athletes. So if you're coming in my program, you need to know that you are an athlete, and you need to know mentally, more than anything, you need to be strong." And he also, in his own way, he taught us how to maneuver life through that as well, because he made sure that we know that life is not easy, especially as a female. But one thing I loved is that he never he never made it obvious that, "Nosip, I'm coaching you because you're a female, and then I want you to maneuver life just because you're a female." No, he made sure that Nosipo maneuvers life as a human being, and Nosipo maneuvers life as a person that she wants to strive to be. So I think
yes.
that is why most people, kudos to him till today. He's still the best coach for me.
Shout out Coach Mandla.
Yeah, definitely.
Lindelani Manda says, "Spakes, heart, round of applause or standing ovation, I would think."
Thank you
Um,
so
and
much.
then Tabang Ndlalane says, "What is the one thing that gets you motivated Because sometimes it can be hard. But what's your go-to thing that keeps you striving?
Yo, Tabang, you're definitely right. It's hard, right? Waking up every day, going to the sports that you know there's a lot you can put into it, but it's not in South Africa is not out there as yet. It's definitely hard. For me, what helps me the most is again going back to what I love doing, because at the end of the day what I'm doing no one can take it away from me, right? And secondly, with my goals as well. So I've got goals that I've put for myself, and I said I want to be every 5 years. This is where I want to be, and I always go back to those goals and see if I've achieved or not. And 99% of the time, sometimes you're not gonna achieve your goals when you want, but it doesn't mean stop.
Yeah.
And I know motivating yourself every single day and trying to stay positive, it is difficult, especially in the surroundings that maybe you might be in. But one thing for me that has helped me is God, and loving what I'm doing again, and knowing exactly who you are. Because if you know who you are before you take yourself out there, you're definitely going to go far.
Okay, that's awesome. I hope that answers your question there, Tabang. That
I
ties
hope so
nicely
too.
into um, the next question I have. The next question comes from a place where, for me in cricket, I always say it's directly translated to life. Like the
Yes.
lessons, you learn in cricket, I can only speak for myself. Um, you can say x equals y. It's directly the
Yes.
same, right? For example,
Yes.
it teaches patience as an example. What would you say basketball has taught you, and what are those key values that stays with you?
Basketball is life, Reese. Let me tell you something about basketball. And you see, you would find a lot of talented players in basketball that are very quiet, and you would never see them outgoing. But by them touching that ball, they reveal who they are. So, and basketball is a very emotional sport, and it's difficult for you to hide who you are in basketball.
Yeah.
So that is why when you are angry, there are people that when they're too angry playing basketball, they're not able to play. But when they're happy, they show who they are. They're happy, they're smiling, they dunk, they do whatever they want to do. For me, that is what basketball is, because what you do on the court, you can directly translate it outside of the court, if that makes sense. And
Yes, that's
also, as a true basketball player, I'm talking about true basketball players. I'm not talking about fly by nights. So as a true
yes.
basketball player, if you're authentic to yourself, you will always be revealed, or you will always reveal who you are. So that's the one life lesson for me.
Yes. No, thanks for sharing that with us. No, see, during your career, okay, I just know, I've known you, you know, we're obviously colleagues, so I've known you. I don't really know you, like, and that's why we're having this conversation, because I want to know, what would you say are your top three favorite milestones you've attained in your career?
Yo, um, the first one, making the senior national team, ladies. Yo, it took me
Okay.
a while for me to get there. It took me
Yes.
years. Yo, it took me years to get there. Going back to what Mandla was saying, that what motivates you. Like I think on top of my head, making national team, it took me about 9 years for me to actually make the team. I
Oh wow.
always would make the squad, but I would never. I was not that 15th player. I would always fall short, and then every single year I would go back with tears in my eyes, because I knew that's what I wanted. And the fact that wearing green and gold, playing with your country, for me it was something that really meant a lot to me. And going back to my childhood as well, as I said, for me, growing up, I didn't know where I belonged. So sport was one place where I knew where I belonged, and I didn't doubt that. So for me,
Yeah.
making national team, it was something that I truly was hungry for. So that was my first milestone when I make the national team, and then obviously playing amongst the best, some of the best female basketball players in the country as well, and learning a lot and being coached by the best coaches in the country. That was epic for me. And the second milestone was for me when I played for few couple of weeks in Mozambique,
Yes.
when I was called up in Mozambique to come and trial, and that was by accident though. But you never know. Sometimes when something is meant for you, even if it's just for
Yes.
1 5 seconds, it is meant for you. So
Yeah.
me playing for those couple of days in Mozambique, it opened my eyes to what basketball is about. The coaching that side, the players, how they respected one another, and how they worship basketball, and the fact that again it went back to my days at UJ, that our coach taught us that he's not coaching females, he's coaching athletes. So typically those women in Mozambique, when you saw them at that time in my era, you would swear a person as tall as me, or bigger than me, is a male on the court. But when you turn around, you look at you, oh, wow, it's a beautiful lady. So I
Yes.
really appreciated that, and the lessons that I've learned there as well. And
Before,
um, my third place, funny enough, that I enjoyed playing basketball was Swaziland.
okay. Tell us
Yo,
more.
so Swaziland, um, 10, 15 years ago, they had a domestic professional league that they were playing that side because they were trying to revive basketball. So I was called up as well to play with some of my friends, and we thought, we're just going for an outing every weekend to Mozambique, sorry, to Swaziland, because Swaziland is next door to us.
Yeah.
But we had a time of our lives. Um, where again being coached by best coaches, playing amongst the best players as well, and the vibe in Swaziland is chilled. People are respecting you for your talent, and then people basically they worship you for your talent or what you're doing. I had the best of my life, and money obviously,
Of
and I was
course.
chasing money as well. Yeah. So for me, on top of my head right now, those are the my best years ever.
Yeah. I want to go back to where you say, Mozambique happened by luck. I wanna just, debunk that, because you're saying in order for you to have made the national team, it took you 9 years, which takes us
Yes,
back to the 10,000 hour rule. I'm not
yes,
sure if you're familiar with that rule, right? So it
yes,
says it takes 10,000 hours of repetition to be successful at one thing.
yes,
So I look at it like it's like, you had done your 10,000 hours and you were ready for that moment when Mozambique came, as opposed to being lucky. So you've
yeah.
actually, I want to give you your flowers and say you've earned Mozambique and Swaziland and everything else, as opposed to, so I don't want you to feel lucky. I want you, to feel like you've earned the right to have been there.
No, definitely. Thank you so much. Except the fact that I'm saying Mozambique happened by luck.
Yes.
Every single thing that I went through in my life, um, and I've got a friend of mine who always say that I never give myself flowers enough. But now as I'm growing up, I realize I've done a lot and I've
Yeah.
achieved a lot. And as much as I don't want to seem arrogant about it, but yes, I have. And hence now I've taken that energy and putting it back into my coaching, because it's still the same energy that I still want to take out there. But yeah, you're right. Kudos to me. I give myself flowers. Yes. And it was not by
Absolutely.
luck. Let's change that
Yeah.
statement. It was not
Yeah.
by luck. I was meant to be there at that time.
Yes. So that's exactly why I started this platform. I wrestled with, I said to you guys in the office many times, like, you guys, you have all these credentials, you should start the podcast. And then, I was like, you know what? I actually now found the way to actually take this forward, because we don't give ourselves flowers enough, and
True,
this is the perfect platform to be able to do that. It's
true.
important for us to say, hey, I come from, Eastern Cape, in a small town village. I come from
Yeah.
uh, the south of Johannesburg in Soweto. We need to be able to do these things, because I feel, there's so many people that could be inspired by this. So it's not
And
about being arrogant.
you are correct. It's definitely, you are correct. Every single thing that you just said now, and also going back to all our culture, I think the reason why most people, including myself, we don't give ourselves enough credit is because, you see, when you're growing up in a certain kasi, or with a certain mentality in your family, they will always give kudos to the doctors, to the nurses, to whoever that graduated, but never to sports people, because
Yeah.
there's this thing that sports people, you only a sports woman, or a sportsman, and but no one takes time to realize how much you've achieved. And I think our mental thinking comes from that, not because not because, especially in my case, not because I haven't realized or recognized all the things that I've done, or I'm proud of everything that I've done. It's just a matter of that switch in my head. I'm still a sports coach at the end of the day. It's never
Yeah.
been. Yeah. So, and I think that mentality needs to change, because sports people, we do a lot, and we achieve a lot. And as much as we don't want to show our achievements out there, I think we need to be proud of that, including myself. I'm saying that, to myself as well, not only to everyone else. And
Yes.
also remembering that there's a next Nosipho out there, there's a next Reese out there, there's a next Tabang out there, and they feeling the same way. But now, if we're gonna be sitting and shying away from all that we've achieved, they're not going to be proud of being sportsmen, women, or males.
Absolutely. That's why I felt it so necessary. I've been dying to tell people my story. Like, if you
Yeah.
go back to episode one, I was in such a great space where I'm like, finally, I can get this out.
Yes.
You don't need to know how tough it was. I mean, we
Yes.
spoke at length about how I couldn't even make my first interview for my job, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And 7
Yeah.
years later, I'm still at the job and I've achieved so many
Yes.
things. Yes, before that, I've achieved quite a bit. But, for those people in the Kasi, hopefully someday we can get these kind of conversations onto certain platforms, like TikTok, where I'll clip, that conversation where you're inspiring someone, and then ultimately, it can kind of go viral, so to speak. Um,
Yeah.
yes,
So
sorry, go ahead.
so so I wanted to say, definitely we need to do that, because at the end of the day, as I just said now, there's a next generation that is coming out there. And if you look at the generation that we have now, um, it's so different from our generation. The generation that you have now, they think everything is easy. You just
Yeah.
wake up and achieve whatever you want to achieve without putting in the work. So we need to go back and show them that, as much as you want to achieve whatever you need to achieve, you need to put in the work, because nothing is easy in life. So that is why
Yes.
people like us, we need to talk about our stories. We need to let them know it was not easy. As I said, for me, it took me about 9 years to make national team in our country, right? And then
Yes.
I told myself, when I made the national team, I will never ever get out of that team until the day I retired. So this is
Yes.
exactly what I did in 2015 when I decided to retire. And I've
Yes.
been playing for over 25 years, 30 years, close to 30 years. And most players now, it's difficult for them to get to those years, because they always think that, "Ah, I just need to bounce the ball in a basketball court," and they miss the hard work that you actually do need to do the hard work first to get yourself in 30 years if you still want to
Absolutely.
play basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And another reason you obviously mentioned, people think these days it's easier, or can we say, for lack of a better term, people are much softer these days. So, and
Correct.
another reason why we should tell the stories of our hardship, so
Yes.
so someone can learn from it, and they don't necessarily need to, wait 10 years. They can say, hey, let me message Nosipho on Instagram and say, could you
Yes.
please help me with, how to go through certain challenges in life, which leads
Yes.
to my next question. um, the challenges, like the genuine challenges, that you had to go through, that you feel successful.
So, the first challenge that I had coming from Eastern Cape, coming here. So I got discovered by Coach Mandla Gema in 2005, right? And then he said, 2006, I want you to come to Joburg at UJ. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, okay. I didn't even know where Joburg was, but I knew I'm agreeing to something that at the end of the day, it either is going to be a good thing or either I'll go back home. So I remember when I left home, and at that time, this is when now all my family members, except my brother, everyone is passed on now. I was
Oh,
the only one. So I needed to feed for myself, and I needed to find a way to make sure that I have a better life for myself. So when he called in December of 2005, he called and said, by the way, I haven't forgotten about you, and you need to pack your bags and come to Joburg, and UJ is waiting for you. Reese, literally, I came to Joburg with 50 Rand in my pocket. And I came with one blanket that it was my grandmother's favorite blanket. And I came with
yes.
one bag. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen. And then I went back and I was like, ish, this gentleman, I don't even have a single cent to even book a ticket to come to Joburg. That gentleman was like, no, everything is going to be sorted out for you. Just come to Joburg. I'll book everything for you. When I left Eastern Cape, I had not cent in my name. I was keeping that 50 Rand in my pocket. But I told myself, I am going to Joburg. What I'm doing in
Yes.
Joburg, I do not know, but I'm going there. So when he met me in Park Station, I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have food. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I'm coming to university that I don't know of. And then at that time, he knew my story and what was I was battling with. He was like, I'll take care of you. He took care of me. He got me a place to stay. He made sure that I was fed. He made sure that I was warm. So, so for me, those are the challenges that I came across. But for me, those challenges were never challenges. For
Yeah.
me, that was something I took that as something that was positive. I'm running away from the life that I don't want to become a better person. Regardless whether I've got 50 Rand in my pocket, regardless whether I don't even have a place to stay. And I know there's a lot of females out there that went through the same thing, but I was lucky because I was met with a kind gentleman who was able to get me that foundation and be the person that I am today. And
No,
then
that's
the second
incredible.
challenge,
Yeah,
so
please
so
go
this
ahead.
sorry to cut you. So the second challenge was when I came here, no one was speaking my language, and everyone was speaking different languages: Tsonga, Zonka, everything, Tsonga, Shivenda, everything. And when I
Zulu,
got to
everything.
UJ, Zulu, at least Zulu was better. But at that time, there was no one who was speaking Zulu at UJ. And because you see, when you're getting to an environment that you're not used to, and people already there, they are used to their environment. Sometimes it's not easy to welcome someone else's you, and especially someone else who might take your spot.
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, basketball is a competitive sport, right? Because I was not gonna come here and be on the bench. So I need to make sure that I'm working for be in the in the first five. So I did exactly that. So every single night I would go to my room crying because people are speaking languages that I don't understand. And these girls, I don't know whether they're swearing at me or they're shouting at me, but I was just it was just challenging for me at that time. But I learned something out of that. I learned different languages.
Yes.
So now I can hear any language. So that's
Uh,
good for me.
yeah. And that time, communication is key. You're playing sport. We need to communicate to
Yes,
move the ball forward, you
yes,
know?
yes,
And
yes.
and I also get the sense that, regardless of how much money you had, deep down you knew that I'm going to a better place and that's going to make me successful regardless of what's going to happen.
Yes, definitely. There's one thing that was instilled in me by my grandmother is that never give up in what you want to do, regardless
Yes.
how small it is and regardless how big it is. So whatever I do in life, I always have that mindset as well. That if you decide tomorrow I want to go to Paris, you've got 100 rand in your pocket and you're able to do that. You can do that and you can achieve that. So my grandmother taught me that, and I appreciate that for that she did that for me because it's something that she left me with that I know I will pass on to my kids tomorrow. Because sometimes it's not about money, it's about the vision and the dream that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
And yes, it's difficult to go to a place where you don't have anyone, you don't have any relatives, and you don't know anyone. But at the end of the day, if you have a goal and you know where you want to be in life, everything is not going to be as easy, but it's going to be as better. It's going to be better.
Yes. No, see, I know we've said a lot so far, but I just want us to take an opportunity. You've experienced so much. What
Yeah.
advice and tips do you have for up and coming basketballers or current basketballers who wants to make a future and a living out of the sport?
There's two things I'm going to say. Female basketball players, if you want to make a mark of yourself, start doing the work now, right? Start doing the
Yes,
work now in terms of getting to the gym, being healthy, eating healthy, surround yourself with healthy people, positive people, because at the end of the day, our surroundings as well are very important. Because you might surround yourselves with people that are always going to be going to the clubs, but you want to go to a basketball court, so they don't understand where your goal is. But if you surround yourself with people that understand your goals and where you want to be and how hard you need to work, it's better than surrounding yourself with people that are not as good. And also people need to understand, especially athletes, and I hope I'm not only talking to basketball players, that nothing comes easy, right? Especially when if you strive to be a basketball player playing national team or playing professional, nothing is easy. No one cares for you, and no one is gonna babysit you, and no one is gonna be tapping you at the back and stuff like that. You need to have a thick skin, and you need to have your mental state need to be very strong. Let me just put it like that,
yeah,
because once you are a weak player, regardless what sports you are trying to play, you will never going to be able to make it elite. That's the bottom line. And if you always want to be a pat on the back, you always want to be pushed without pushing yourself, you're not going to make it to the top.
yeah. I think you'll be exploited very quickly in a competitive environment, and sport
True.
naturally is competition, right?
True. And
Um,
and one thing, sorry, is one thing also, I forgot to mention is that never compare yourself to the next person. You
yes,
always have to be you always have to have something different from the next player.
yes. And you also mentioned the surrounding of the people around you. You know, they say there's a saying that says you are the five people you spend the most time with, and I
True.
absolutely agree with that. Um, we've already covered the work-life balance, and you obviously saying, um, you know, it's not quite a balance; it's just a natural behavior for you. So, Nosi, with all that being said, now it comes down to your coaching philosophy. What makes you successful
What made me successful?
regarding your
Um,
coaching? Yes,
to be honest, I think it goes back to always striving to be the best, and it's something that it's I think it's in my blood type thing. I don't know if it's my blood or
yeah,
my bones. I don't know what to call it. I still haven't. For me, I still haven't achieved every single thing in coaching that I still wanna achieve. I always
yes,
currently right now I'm calling myself a young beginner coach, right? And
yes,
for me, I'm always I'm lucky because I'm always surrounded by good coaches around me, and this is when I'm measuring where I want to be. I'm not comparing myself to them, but from surrounding myself with good coaches, it gives me a clear path what type of coach I want to be. So for me, I'm very passionate with female basketball, and unfortunately I don't hide that. And
yeah.
the reason why for me I've put myself and dedicated myself to female basketball is because there's few coaches that have time or motivation or even um, goals to do that, because most coaches that are not as passionate about about sports, they always want to take the easy route. If I could put it like that.
Yeah.
So for me, taking the route that I've taken to be the coach, again being influenced by a lot of coaches, good coaches and bad coaches. But at the end of the day, a coach is a coach. You need to all, at the end of the day, respect a coach for who they are. And yes, I'm not gonna shy out of it. When I was playing, there are a couple of coaches that I felt, okay, they're not for me as a coach, or I wouldn't be want to be coached by them again in future. And I respect that, and I'll never disrespect them for that. But my path and being the coach that I am today, it goes back to the hard work that I'm putting in, to the authenticity of the person that I am and I'm trying to put out there, and hard work beats everything. That's my motto for me. If you're a player and you strive or you would like to be coached by me, you need to understand mentally. I'm gonna probe your mental state every single day, because at the end of the day, I'm not only coaching you inside the basketball court, I'm coaching you outside the basketball court, so that whenever you're out of my wing, or wherever you are coached by someone else, you are playing a different type of basketball type of thing. And for me, I love coaching females, because females, whatever sports they are, that we are playing as females, we always strive to be the best mentally, physically, and otherwise.
No, that's awesome. Um, Nosi, future ambitions and goals. What have you set out for yourself?
Slowly, I'm achieving that now. One of the goals that I wanted to coach an elite junior team, which I've done that this year when I went
Yes.
for the under 16. And the most important goal for me is to coach national team.
Okay.
I'm even tasting that with my tongue, like my favorite food in my mouth. So for me, I've never hidden the fact that I want to coach. I want to be the head coach of the national team, and I want to bring something different in the national team. I'm not saying I'm the best coach. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. I still have a lot of learning to do, and I've got plenty of room for me to learn, and I'm still learning. And especially with the great coaches that I'm surrounded by, I'm learning every single day. And I wouldn't want though to give up coaching without coaching a professional team, my own professional team.
No, that's fantastic. And obviously, with your ambition and your drive and, you know, the life you've been through, I don't see you not achieving that. You know, there will be obstacles in the way, but, you know, I believe that we're all destined to be somewhere, you know,
Correct.
and and your heart's desire, you don't need to speak about it. You know, like you said earlier, if you believe in God, you know, God will make sure that that happens.
Yeah, so correct. So going back to the to coaching my own professional team, that dream has already started with my Amante Stars. So
Yes,
the
with your
players that
academy.
I've yes, with my academy. So the players that I'm bringing in, they type of different breed of young girls, and I love them to bits. And I love the fact that they're striving to learn, and that they've got hard work, and they want to be better. And one thing I love about them, they don't want to be better for me, they want to be better for themselves. Whether
Yeah.
they bouncing the ball on the floor, or whether they're shooting that ball, they want to make a difference. So that professional team for me, it has already started. And going back to that, um, that's another thing that I want to achieve in the next 3 years, of me putting in a all South African female elite professional team. And I know in this country we can do that. And I'm tasting it. And it's just a matter of me as a coach putting the work, getting the teams, getting the players together. And obviously, when you put a team together, obviously you're gonna need money, sponsors, and all of that. And yeah, so it already has started.
No, that's fantastic to know. Um, on that tangent, a memorable quote for us to live by. Do you have any?
I have, be yourself, never look at the person who's behind you, because whatever is behind you, you can never go back to it. Look forward.
Be yourself. You can never go back. Look forward. No,
Yes.
that's fantastic. I see we're coming up close to an hour there, and I think
That was quick.
yeah, everything's going smoothly and nicely. You know, I want to keep it short because I feel an hour is a lot and short at the same time. So we're not taking up too
Yes.
much of your time, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you know, we get enough information that we need. Um, well, see, as you can see, my background there, Golden State.
Yes. Yeah.
What's your favorite basketball team and your favorite player of all time?
So for me, and I know most people, don't kill me. Most people, when what I'm about to say, they're gonna be, oh, what? I don't have a favorite team.
Okay.
I'll explain why. I don't have a favorite
Yes.
team, but I've got favorite players. And
Okay.
my favorite players, they're not necessarily what they achieve on the court. My favorite players is basically what they achieve off the court. LeBron James is one of them. So LeBron
Yes.
James for me is would always be an outstanding male basketball player for me. That is the best player for me. Um, Going back to his background, going back to everything that he has achieved through basketball, and still being the person that he is right now, and especially for him, he has put up so much flack, and people don't like him, and but he's still an authentic person that he is. And then the female side for me, best female player for me, Lisa Leslie, on the
Lisa
court
Ray.
and off the court. Yes, on the court and off the court. Best female player for me.
No, that's fantastic. I'm gonna ask you to name a few more because I want you to give us like a best five. Like obviously we have LeBron, we have Lisa Resley. Let's imagine, for the sake of the podcast, that they can play together. So we have LeBron and Lisa Resley. Three more.
Taraji. Um, ha. Um, Reese, you're putting me on the spot now. Uh,
I'm gonna put
there's
you
this
even
new.
further on the spot while you think, man. For the last one, hold that thought. For
Okay.
the last one, the fifth one has to be a young player currently.
Oh no. For me, there's a young lady who's playing in the double. I forgot her name. I'm not good at names. Please don't kill me. Um,
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese. So yeah, Angel Reese is yes, one of the youngest players for me, and my old toppy though. I would if I would want him back in basketball, Michael Jordan. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, for me, those are the top five.
No, that's an incredible top five. But I also just wanted you to mention Angel Reese because I think she's
No,
phenomenal.
she is phenomenal. So and do you know what I love about her? She's different.
Yeah.
She doesn't care what people say about her, and she doesn't care how she moves, and she's enjoying herself. We might not, she might be going through things that we don't know of, but you never see that. And
Yes.
she's just herself, man. I love that about her, on and off the court.
Now, look, I think I'm by no stretch of imagination a b-ball. How can I say, someone that knows everything about the game. But in recent
Yeah,
times, like watching her play, I'm like, just like, nah, she
yeah.
flies on the.
Yeah, and she does. And we haven't seen that in a very long time. We haven't seen a player like her, especially as a female, in a very
In the
long time,
women's game,
because
yeah.
in a women's game, she's very athletic, she's strong, she's quick, and she knows who she is. And it's good, it's good to watch. And most thing about her is that, and I'm sure all the coaches that are coaching her, they enjoy coaching her because if she's coachable from what we have seen from the outside, and I love her.
No, that's awesome. Nosi, finally, in closing, what do you want to be remembered as?
Me. I'll tell you why I'm saying me. I want to be remembered, um, small things, lessons that I give people, my authentic self, the love that I give people, and the passion that I have for every single thing, including my family, my kids. This is me. I've never been different. This has always been me, and obviously with my good and bad, there's no one who's perfect in life, but I want to be remembered as hashtag Spakes, a girl from Kasi, New Brighton, who's still trying to make it through everything that she's gone through, and who's never hidden who she is.
No, that's awesome. I think it's very simplified as well. And
Yeah.
like people who get to know you or who you coach, whether they come across you in their lives, they should just know by knowing you, that's how you would want to be remembered as. So I'm very grateful that I will, have that memory of you forever.
Thank you.
Just you being yourself. And I want to take the opportunity to thank you and appreciate you for sharing some of your time, sharing some of your stories. And I hope, someday that someone will watch this and it will inspire them. And I want to thank our audience. Um, You guys have been amazing. Please go out, share the video,
And
subscribe to the channel,
subscribe.
and hopefully, over time, one day, when everything comes together with God's blessings, we'll have an episode 2, the way I would prefer to have it. But
Yes.
yeah, Nosipho Njokweni, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You should have a good
Thank you
evening.
for having me as well.
Thank
Bye.
you.